going on? We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. I've been going for a little bit, doing the same things I've been telling you guys about, dealing with myself and my goals, dealing with my mind, my spirit, my thoughts, my financial goals, my financial freedom, trying to create more self days in order to allow that to happen. So that's why you haven't been seeing me post a lot lately. If you're one of the people who've been paying attention to it, and I appreciate that so much, even if it's one person, I thank you. So today I want to talk about how we measure our results. It came to me the other day because, I do a lot of reflecting from a youth, from a kid to, a young adult, you know what I mean? And I reflect on my thought process. And I'm constantly trying to figure out how to reinvent myself for the times, not to be stuck in one place in order to create value. Keeping my self-worth of who I am and what I do and how I bring value to the table, but constantly reinventing it in order that I can keep on going with the times, you know what I mean? So I was realizing to myself that for years, one thing that really helped me was that I stopped measuring my results the same way. Now, when I was younger, when I go to school, I would measure my results off of my sneakers, my shirts, my pants, my fit, my outfit, my gear, you know what I'm saying? My chain, what jewelry I rocked, you know what I'm saying? And people's perception of that, how they felt, and who I was compared to how they looked, you know what I mean? On the external viewpoint, you know what I mean? If I had the right kicks on my feet, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. And then as I got older, and I was sort of able to do more things, I started looking at a representation of my results of, can I go to this party? Can I go to this spot? Can I go to this concert? Can I travel over here? Can I buy bottles like this? Can I buy bottles like that? You know what I'm saying? Can I rent cars how I want? Can I buy this? You know what I mean? My purchases. What purchases can I do? You know what I mean? And if I was doing those purchases, you know what I mean? I would look at those kind of things. Like, I was able to buy the chain, you know what I'm saying? The watch, you know what I mean? The whips, you know what I'm saying? Ball out of the club, you know what I'm saying? Stay the weekend at a resort or whatever the case is, or go for a trip to this state or whatever the case like that, right? I would measure my results of what I was doing on that. If I could do that, if I could keep up with the Joneses, you know what I'm saying? If I could keep up with the hype, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. So then as I, sort of realizing that those were the wrong measurements. Those measurements weren't correct. That wasn't the way I should measure, by what I have, you know what I mean? In that sense of, I guess how people say materialistic things, that wasn't truly showing my value, because in those cases and scenarios, I was spending, you know what I mean? Nothing that I was spending on was bringing me back anything, compared to a lot of people now, not a lot of people, but say artists or, entertainers. When they do that, it generates them something back, they can expense that for business purposes, you know what I mean? Traveling, clothing, certain jewelry, things like that. That's where they get insured, you know what I mean? So they can expense certain things off of it. So, because that's what their job is, to entertain, and they have to keep a certain level of character. And when I say character, I mean the character that the role that they're playing, in order to keep that going for the income, for you to keep on coming back, you know what I mean? So they can entertain, for the branding, right? So when I looked at it, for me, I'm like, that's not what it is. I saw the people like, for me, that's the spending. Buying those chains wasn't bringing anything back to me. Buying all those kicks like that wasn't bringing anything back to me. It was taken away from my income. It wasn't helping bring more to my income. So my results, I started looking at was more what could bring me back more income, you know what I mean, without me having to do much, in the sense of not having to do much later on. Of course, you have to do a lot more in the beginning, put in the legwork in the beginning. But as I put in that legwork and I put in my money into it, even, because like I always tell to people, man, it costs to learn. You know what I'm saying? If you got to pay for it from an individual, or if you got to pay for it by failing, which you feel like you're wasting time, or you got to keep on doing something more. One way or another, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay to learn one way or another, as long as you're learning. You know what I mean? So you're gonna pay the cost. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, pay the cost to be the boss. It's gonna cost you, right? So, but when it's costing you to become a boss, or it's costing you in order for you to get more income, that's different. You know, it starts growing your portfolio. So that's how I started measuring my results. You know, I changed measuring my results, like of how much income of what I'm spending time on this time, or spending money on, is bringing me back. You know, maybe not this month, but this year or next year. So is that worth it? You know what I mean? And then I started diversifying my portfolio, investment portfolio, and also income portfolio, to see my gross. Let me say my target, diversifying my gross income portfolio. Let's just say it like that, where I can see, you know, what's bringing me back, what's not bringing me back, where I should. So then I started looking at my results of how much time I placed into this, and if it's worth the time I've been placing into this. You know what I mean? So my results, what I looked at for results was different. It was no longer, you know, where can I take trips to, what can I purchase? When I say purchase, I mean what clothes I could purchase, what shoes I could purchase, what chain I could purchase. It changed, right? Because I started peeping it, and I'm like, the people that I was represented, that I thought represented me when I grew up, you know, coming from a low income family, you know, immigrants who came from another country here, and they did what they had to do. You know, salutes off to my family members. They did what they had to do, you know. And, you know, growing up in that environment and seeing who I thought was a representation of myself, you know, they spent money on certain things because they were able to. So that's what I had to take in focus and understand. Like, when somebody buys a certain expensive purse or shoe or shirt or watch, it's not going to impact their income. It's not going to impact their savings account. It's not going to impact that. It's not going to impact their income account. It's going to be like you going to buy deodorant at a store. It's going to become like you buying apples. You know what I mean? It's not going to impact you in such a negative way. It's like you buying a stick of gum. You buy a stick of gum because you want to keep your breath fresh, right? You buy that stick of gum. It's not going to impact you to pay for that stick of gum. It's not going to hurt you to buy a stick of gum. That's the same way when they buy their fashion or they buy certain purchases that they make that's materialistic. It doesn't impact their income. Someone making $350 million a year and buying a BMW that costs $132,000, or buying a Rolls Royce that starting cost of $315,000, it's not going to impact them the same way as a person who's only making $200,000 a year or only making $500,000 a year. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're making $30,000 a year after taxes, or $40,000 a year after taxes, and you're paying for items that cost $3,000 for you to wear, or, you know, for you to have for a moment, it's not really smart investment. It's not smart moves. You're not making the right choices because you're following, or you may be seeing things you like from people who actually can afford it. People who this doesn't bother their bank account. It's like less than 0.3% or less than 0.00 something percent that affects their bank account with their purchases. You know what I mean? That's the same way you got to look at it. Is it like buying a Snicker bar? Is that how it is for you when you go ahead and make a purchase? Is that how it is? You know what I mean? Then that's different. If it's like that and it doesn't affect your account like that, then that's something totally different. But if you're seeing more than 2, 3%, 1%, 10% affect your monthly income or your total yearly gross income of a purchase, that's a problem. And it's not a purchase that it's an investment or something that's a necessity. You understand? That's a problem. So like I said, I started looking at how I was looking at my results. You know what I mean? How I was judging my performance off of results. Because before, like I said, it was off of my purchases. If I could go do this, if I could go do that, if I could go hang out with this, if I could buy this gear, you know what I'm saying, that gear, you know what I'm saying, if I could go cop this whip or this and that. And I changed that, you know, that's not my results. Those are the bonuses. Those are the regular everyday activities that shouldn't affect what you're doing. And if it's affecting your overall income, that's a problem. That's a major problem. Then you're not in the right mindset for what you're trying to do. You're not going to achieve any true goals if your goal is generational wealth. If your goal is even riches for you yourself now, you're not going to achieve that. So first you have to please look at what your results are. How are you basing How are you measuring yourself from the results? What results are you measuring is what I'm saying. What results are you measuring? You know, because it's different of measuring results of forecasting that, yo, I want to pull in after taxes and expenses, I want to pull in 200K a year after taxes and expenses. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, after expenses and taxes, I still want to pull in 200K a year. And you pull in almost, say you pull in 89,000. You're getting closer. That's a difference, you know? And then you start looking at, okay, what's pulling me that 89,000? Is it 30% of it from rental properties? Is 40% of it or 20% of it from investing in currency, investing in Bitcoin, investing in stocks, investing in, you know, REITs? Like, where is it coming from? Investing in my side business, you know, in my own business, like, where is it coming from? And you start basing the results, okay, maybe I need to attack this more and these things less, but still have these things going because they're generating some income. That's how your results should move. Because then you get to the point where when you make certain purchases, you're like, all right, it's cool. This has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with it. So I think it's very important we pay attention to that. Like, really look at how are you measuring yourself by what results? Are you measuring it by personal purchases? That's a problem. You shouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? Now, when you surpass a certain income level, then that's different. You know, that's different. Then you're like, okay, because you have met that goal. You met that threshold goal where you're like, I'm pulling in after expenses and taxes for a year, $1 million. Or I'm pulling in $10 million after this. Or how many other cases of whatever the goal is, that's gonna justify that lifestyle that you want. So don't look at the lifestyle first. You know what I mean? You can't measure the lifestyle that you want first. You have to measure how you're gonna get that yearly income or long-term income to come in to sustain that lifestyle. Because once you can sustain that income coming in, then the lifestyle will come. Okay? So don't, like they say, put the wagon before the horse. You can't put the wagon before the horse. You got to get the horsepower rolling first. If you need 2 horses or 3 horses for whatever you're trying to pull. You know what I'm saying? So you got to look at it like that. Let's stop basing our results off of how much we can spend. And let's start basing our results on how much we spend and it comes back to us. You understand? That's how it got to be. You know, and you got to start looking at that with the time, with the people that you're spending with. Who you spending your time with? Who you doing what with? You know, because that may be a waste as well. Where your mind state is. Have you reinvented yourself? Are you still stuck on what you thought when you were 22, when you were 15, when you were 10? You know, are you re-innovating yourself? You know, look at some of these artists that you see. Look at Will Smith. You know, if you watch Will Smith, he went from stage to stage. He went from rapper to actor to entrepreneur. Like, he did it all. And to investor, to owning companies, owning properties. I'm sorry for the noise in the background, but everybody's trying to get to it, right? Somebody's out here trying to get to it right now, right? Somebody's trying to get to a better income. You understand? And somebody's trying to use their income to better their lives, right? That's a trade right there, a trade-off that you're hearing in the background. You know what I mean? Somebody out there working, right? And somebody out there paying. You understand? So, but like I said with Will Smith, he did the same thing. Look at 50 Cent, Curtis Jackson. He went from a rapper, then he was at a rapper, and he figured out how to reinvent himself. He started acting, and then he started acting. He went from there. He was like, you know what? Now I'm going to start writing it. Same thing with Will Smith as well. Becoming writers and producers. They reinvented themselves with the same entertainment mindset that they're good at with the value, plus taking around being a business mind, entrepreneurship, learning the financial literacies, right, that they need to understand, and then just reinventing what kind of entertainment they need to do right now, or where they can go to the next level instead of being stuck in that one frame of, I'm just a rapper, I just rap. If they did that, they would not be as far as they are today and be still consistent, right? So they measured their results, they looked at it and said, well, this is what this is getting me, and it's starting to go down. I like what about this? I like entertaining. What's there now that I need to do to adjust to keep me in that? And that's gonna grow with my age as well, right? I'm getting older now, right? My people, or the fans are getting older now as well. What are they going to do to adjust that to them to keep that going? Because they're still going to have that support from them. And they did that. They went to television, they went to movies, they went to directing and writing. And then they took those investments and they took those incomes from that and reinvested it in other places to give them more time and quality with that. See, you have to watch how you measure your results. They didn't measure your results of saying, oh, I can still purchase a Lamborghini, so I must be good. That wasn't what they based their results off of measuring it. I can still purchase a $3 million home, so I'm good. That's not what they did. They looked at the percentage of what they were making prior to that. You understand? Look at Master P. Master P said it all the time. Everybody's like, how does Master P still have all this money? They're like, oh, because he's selling all these records still. Master P said, it's not just that. He said, look, when I see it going down to a certain increment, he said, I got to get rid of people or cut people that hire and start doing more stuff myself, or start consolidating who I need and see what I can pay them a little bit more to get the job still done. I'm not going to keep all this stuff still around when it doesn't make sense if I see certain things going down, because then that'll make it go down even faster. Then also he reinvented himself into different sectors of business, that he wanted to get in. He diversified his portfolio even more. You understand? For a long term. You see what I mean? So you have to really look at the result. But their result really they're looking at the drive of income. They're looking at the drive of the income that's coming in, the passive and the active. And they're seeing how that's being affected and what's affecting that. So is the passive income coming in, but the active income getting smaller, which is going to affect that. So how can I redo that? You understand? So pay attention to that. Don't make it be your results. I'm sorry I'm driving a wedge on this. I'm just pushing this. But I don't want your results to be on what you can purchase. Let your results be on how it keeps on making you income, passive income, how your income keeps coming in after expenses and after taxes. All right? So it's not result based on what we can purchase. Let's be result based on how we can constantly make active and passive income. Okay? Let's do it like that. So y'all be safe. Sorry for the long-winded one, but it hit me in a way where I'm like, you guys need to know this. You need to understand that. You need to take a look at that. You need to do whatever you need to do to get to that point, to change that mindset, to reinvent yourself. You don't got to let go of what you love. You just have to reinvent it. All right? Don't got to let go of what you love. Just got to reinvent it. All right, man. So we're not waiting for opportunity. We create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity. We create an opportunity. Have yourself a great self day. You heard me.